Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Maria, and today I'm going to be featuring another Dior holiday release. Now the other day I did a video on this palette here, and this is the Dior Ecrin. This is the iconic makeup colors palette. This is the one with the highlight. It's got the quint in it. It's got two blushes and it's got some satin lipsticks as well. So the one that I'm trying today is the iconic, it's the eye makeup one. And here is the back of it. And it's really just going to be a baby version of this palette here. So I already know that the packaging is going to be really gorgeous, because the packaging on this, as I explained in my other video, it looks and feels like leather. It's probably pleather, but it is really beautiful to hold and also to look at, and it's also quite thick as well, just all over really beautiful packaging. So I'll take it out of the box. I haven't done that yet with this smaller palette. These are made in France. They have a shelf life, so they say, of 6 months from date of opening, but as I've mentioned before, eyeshadows and other makeup items that I have, apart from mascaras, they really do last a lot longer than what they say as their guidelines that they give. So here is the 5 eyeshadows palette. It's just, like I said, a little baby version of the other one. I'll hold them up side by side. So here they are. They're really just such a pretty packaging. Really gorgeous. And someone asked me in my other video about, because this has, or the other one, the bigger one, it was a lever that you pull down to open the palette, and they asked me whether it was metal or plastic. And I would say that it's plastic. It feels slightly cool to the touch, but when you tap it, it doesn't sound like metal. But what I can say, and I'll just hold up the other palette again, is that it is, even though it's probably plastic, it feels really robust. It doesn't feel flimsy in any way, and it'll certainly put up with the opening and closing, I would say, many times. So it's all very good quality. So on this one, it doesn't have the lever. It has the gold colored bar, but not the lever to pull down. But it does have this beautiful embossing on the front, and again, it feels like leather. So I'll hold it up a bit closer so you can just take a look at the really beautiful embossing on it. And then you just lift it up. I'll take off, it has a plastic shield over the eyeshadows. It also has a little brush. It has a sponge applicator on one side and a little brush on the other. And here are the 5 eyeshadows. Now this is, again, from Dior, another neutral type of eye palette, which I absolutely love. This one would be more on the warmer side. And what I'll do is I'll just hold up the palette on this one, just so I can show you side by side the eyeshadows. And the quint in this one here is a neutral, just like this one is a neutral as well. But this one, the little one, definitely leans towards the warmer side. The formulas that I've tried so far in these Dior holiday, this palette, and there were 2 other quints that I put a video up on the other day, the formulas have been fantastic and they've blended really well. As I said, I haven't tried this smaller palette that I'm trying out in this video today, but if it's anything like the other ones that I've tried, it's going to be really beautiful. And on the back of this palette, it does have numbers for the eyeshadows, for those of you who are interested in that. So it says there is numbers 722, 553, 780, 544, and 769. So now I'm going to swatch them on my arm, and I'll do that from the colours that are left to right in this palette. So in this palette there are 3 satins, and this one here I would say will be a topper. This one here feels like it is the matte shade. So this is a satin, this one, and this shade here, and this one I would say is the topper shade. So all of these shades felt really beautiful when I swatched them. You would have seen with a couple of them I had to go over them again. I've had to with a couple of the other new Dior releases that I've tried as well, but it's no indication of how it goes on my eye at all, because I've found them so far to be beautifully pigmented and also to blend really well. If anything feels a little bit different with this palette is that they do feel really soft. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like, but from the colours and the way that they feel and also the way that they swatched as well, I've got a feeling that they're going to look really beautiful on the eye. So I'm going to take the Rephr number 15. I'm going to go into, first of all, this is a satin shade, so I'm going to try that shade first and just do it how I normally do with my first shade. I put some on the crease and work it up on my brow bone as well. And this is blending out really beautifully so far, just like the other new Dior releases that I've tried. And then with the darker shade, which is a matte, I'm going to take the Sonia G, it's the Worker 3 brush, and as usual I'll put this, I want to use all the shades in this palette today, so I'm going to pop this one on the outer part of my eyelid, a little bit in the crease and slightly above as well. And then for the rest of my lid, I want to use this pumpkin shade here, and I'm going to use the Chikuhodo. This is the F06 brush, and just put that on the rest of my lid. I am going to put some shadow on my lower lash line, but first of all I want to use this shade here, and then I'll probably go over it with the darker shade. Then I'm just going to take the Chikuhodo, the blend brush, and just go over these shadows just to soften it all up. I do a lot of blending with my eyeshadows. And with that same pumpkin shade, I'm going to take my Rephr number 3 brush and put that on the lower lash line first, and then I'll also put on some of that darkest brown shade as well. And now I'm just going over with that darkest shade. Sometimes I quite like to layer colours on my lower lash line. I'm going to take the BK Beauty, it's the 202 brush, and I'm going to go into, it's not the topper shade, but this really light satin shade here, and just put some of that just on my upper brow bone. And then this is just the Sonia G, this is the Blend Pro, and I just want to soften so there's no harsh lines and blend those shades together a little bit. And then finally I'm going to take the Sonia G, it's the Builder Pro, and I'm going to go into what looks like to be a topper shade, and I'm going to put that over that pumpkin colour. And with that lightest satin shade that I used for my brow bone, I've just wiped down my Rephr number 3 brush, and I think I put that colour on the inner corner my eye here, just see how that looks. So now I'm going to line my eyes as well, and I think with these colours, which I think look really beautiful, that pumpkin colour and then the topper over the top is really, really beautiful. It does give a really warm look. I think it looks really gorgeous. I love the look. So I'm going to use a Sisley eyeliner. This is the waterproof one. It's the Phyto Cold Star Waterproof, and this is in the colour Sparkling Brown. And I think this will go really, really lovely with the eyeshadow. So now I'm just going to curl my lashes and pop on some mascara. So here are the eyes all finished with the mascara and eyeliner on. I think I say this about a lot of the holiday releases that I've done so far, but it really is beautiful. That pumpkin type shade is just gorgeous, and with that topper over the top of that pumpkin shade is just really, really beautiful. So I am loving this. The Dior products that I've bought so far from the holiday collection are just really, really beautiful. So now I'm going to put on some blush, and I'm going to use, I did a video on this the other day. This is the newly released, this is the SUQQU, it's the Powder Blush Compact 103. And the video I did was on this compact and also on one of the SUQQU quads, the 108 I think. But I'll put a link to that up above. So I'll just give you a quick look of the blush palette. It really is just a stunning, stunning palette. And when I did the video the other day, there was a pumpkin shade in here as well. And I'm probably going to use that as well today. But I think I might use this shade as well. Now these are the blushes. These are two highlighters. And the blushes are a satin type formula. And they are quite pigmented. I'm going to use the KZ. This is a Chikuhodo brush. And it is the KZ02. And with that more brown shade, I think I'll just go very lightly with that first, because this is going to be quite a warm look overall. And then I'll go over the top with that pumpkin colour. So I just want to give a very, very light coverage with the brownish shade first. And then I'm going to go over the top of that shade that I just put on. And again, this is the colour that I used in the video when I showed this and the other SUQQU quad. And again, I'll just go lightly, but I think both together they will look quite nice and just give a really beautiful warm look all over. And then for the highlighter, I'm going to take the Rephr fan brush. It's the number 20. And I'll go into this really pale gold highlighter here. I think the other day when I used this, I just used the KZ brush, the highlight brush, but I just wanted to see what it was like with the fan brush as well. The SUQQU, the blush palette is really outstanding. This is the Sonia G Smooth Buffer. I'm just going over that highlight I just put on just to blend it in. But I love the highlights too in this palette. They've got a bit of sparkle going on, but they're not chunky in any way. I think they just look really, really beautiful. And finally is lipstick. Now normally I go for a neutral lipstick. But I wanted to find one orange or a red orange, and I don't have many. I have about 3 or 4, maybe 5 in my lipstick collection. And I pulled out the Tom Ford one. This is number 71 in Contempt. Normally you would probably want to use a lip liner when using a more bold lipstick, but I don't have one because I hardly ever wear these bold colours. But I thought it would go really nice with this overall look. So here is the final look with me wearing a bold lipstick for a change. And when I put bold lipstick on, I actually don't mind it. I think I normally go towards neutrals. I just find them easier to apply during the day. Then it just takes that little bit longer when you're using a bold lipstick. But I love this colour with the eyeshadow, and the blush as well. The overall look, I think, is super pretty. So overall, I really like this eyeshadow palette. The packaging is outstanding. The formula is gorgeous. I had no issues blending this whatsoever. I really love that pumpkin shade, and I think with the topper placed over top of that pumpkin shade just looks really beautiful. So this palette here and this one, and there were the two quints that I did a video on just recently as well. One of those quints is a cooler look and the other one is neutral, leaning towards warm. I would say this palette is a little bit warmer, and none of the two quints or the bigger palette like this one has got that pumpkin color shade in it. So if you haven't bought any and deciding which one to get, it really depends. For the bigger palette and this one and one of the quints, you really do have to like your neutrals, and I just love neutral shades. And even though this one leans quite a bit warmer, it's still really beautiful. So it depends really what you're looking for. This palette here gives you a bit more because it's got the highlight and lipsticks, the two blushes as well. But you may not want all those, or might not want the lipsticks that are in this palette. But you can still get some beautiful packaging and a really gorgeous warm neutral palette. And buy the smaller version. Both of these look stunning, and I've had this one sitting on my shelf since I did the video on it, and this little baby will be sitting next to it as well. They are just too gorgeous to put away in one of my drawers. And even though it's spring here in New Zealand and not fall like these palettes are geared to, especially this pumpkin type eye shade, that doesn't bother me. I wear these colors all year round. The other Dior quint that I tried the other day that had mainly the gold in it, I thought that could be a Christmas Day look, and I'm still thinking that probably will be, but I really like this now too. So it's going to be a hard decision to decide what look I'm going to wear for Christmas Day this year. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.